Hope lives always. Today I'm going to continue a story I was sharing yesterday. If you haven't seen that video, I'd encourage you to watch that one. But it's the story of this sign, a story that leads to these videos, a story that leads to that sign in my yard, and that leads to what I've been doing to try to bring hope and share hope in this time. Yesterday, I left you thinking about two questions that were posed to me by an Islam professor when I was in college. The first was, who's doing anything about it? It came from this statement, that everybody can find a problem in the world, but the biggest problem is that very few are doing anything about the problems they find. The next question comes from this statement, belief and practice. If you don't have both, you have nothing. If you practice something that you don't believe, you're not going to accomplish much. And if you believe something that you don't put into practice, then what do you really believe? These were the things that were milling around in my head, and all of a sudden one day I couldn't take it anymore. And as a young college student, I decided I wanted to be someone who would not just find a problem in the world, but would seek to do something about it. And I decided I wanted to be the kind of person that believed something and put that belief into practice through my own actions. The biggest problem that I saw in the world all stemmed from a lack of care, a lack of love. That when you lack love for other people, it creates all kinds of negative things in our world, that all of them stem from there. And I thought about, well, how can I do something about a worldwide problem of a lack of love? And if what I believe is that love should be practiced and shared by everyone, and how do I practice that? What was I going to do? And so I realized that I couldn't change everyone in the world. I could change me, though. I could make myself more conscious of my need to share love to others, my belief that love exists and should be shared, and my actions to share it. I just needed a reminder. And so what I did was I took a big piece of yellow poster board and I wrote on it a Bible verse. I wrote on it John 13:34 through 35. It's the place where Jesus says, "A new commandment I give unto you, that you love one another. And other people will know that you're my disciples because of your love for one another." It's a statement about belief and about practice. And I thought if I wrote this on a poster board, my idea was that every day when I woke up, if that's what I saw, and every day when I walked out of my door, if that's what I saw, then I was going to try to be more loving to others in practice. And it worked. At least for the first 10 yards past my door. I was keeping this in mind. And in my interactions with people for the first 10 yards from my door, I was cognizant of trying to show them that I cared about them and that I loved them and that love was important to me. Those post-it hopes that I spoke about and that I wrote on my door, that comes from this same idea. This idea that if you see what you believe, then you're more apt to act on it. And so, again, I pose with you this same idea of hope. That what is it that you can write down and that you can see? That way, for those first 10 yards outside your door, at the very least, you are able to see hope in that space. We'll start with 10 yards. But as my story continues, you'll see that that was not enough for me. I needed reminders that extended beyond that radius. And maybe we do too. Because hope exists farther than 10 yards. Because hope lives always.